back to my channel, and today we are going to be having a book review on Francine Rivers' Atonement Child. I don't know if you can see well, but before we get into the video or jump right into the video, I will really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like this video, and also share with your friends, to whomever it is who is interested or will find this helpful. I will really appreciate the support. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into the review of the book. So like I said, the name of the book is The Atonement Child. Sorry, before we start, I am going to be putting a list of the books I'm going to be reviewing in the description box below, and some of them are standalone books while some are in series. I will ensure to put that in the description box so that you guys can follow along which book it is we are reading every week, and you can leave your comments and suggestions in the comment box below. So The Atonement Child was written, I'm sorry if I'm looking down, it's because I have notes here that I want to follow, so I wouldn't make any mistake or miss out on anything I want to say. They are just pointers that I wrote down. Alright, let's get right into it. The name of the author of the book, as I have said before, is Francine Rivers, and the book was written in the year 1997. That was a long time ago, 22 years now. So it's not a new book, it's been around for a while, but I don't know if many people have read it or know about it. So it has 372 pages, which might seem long for a lot of people, but actually it isn't, because the story is very interesting. So it wouldn't even take, if you are an avid reader, it wouldn't take you up to 2 days to finish this book. And that is if you are just reading it during your relaxation time and your free time and downtime. So The Atonement Child is a book that talks about the topic of abortion and rape. Rape and abortion, those are the two main themes in the book. So there are some characters in the book that are at the forefront. Number one is Dina, who the story is about, and her mother, Hannah. Her grandmother's name is Evie. Her father's name is Douglas, and she has three friends who are quite close to her, and one of them is her boyfriend, who is Ethan. Then she has a roommate called Janet, who is also a very close friend, and Joe also. So those are the main characters in the books, although they have other characters that come into play, but these are the main characters in the book. Now the book has 11 chapters. Don't let that scare you. It's very, very interesting to read. It's not that big, as you can see. See the size. It's not that big, and it has different prints cover. So this is not just the cover that you can find in bookstores. There are different editions. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. We're going to follow the book chapter by chapter. But if you have any other suggestion on how I can improve the reviewing of these books, you can put your comments down below. I would really appreciate it. So before we jump right in, please like this video and subscribe. It will really help me a lot to produce more videos like this and improve the quality also. So we're going to start at chapter 1, and we are introduced to Dina, who is a student at a Christian college in San Francisco, I think. I'm not sure. I'll check that out and I will put it right here up. So she works part-time in a retirement home called Stanton Manor House, where she takes care of retirees, old people. So that is how she spends her time. She's a very friendly person, easygoing, and she has this great relationship with this guy called Ethan, and she's best friends with Joe and Janet. She has everything going for her. But on this day, it was very different. After she finished work, she was going back to her dorm, and she was just replaying in her mind the way she met her fiance, that is Ethan, how they met, and when she first came into school as a fresher, and he was the one that helped her with her registration and all, and how he was like, oh, it's God that said we should be together, all those kind of things, and that he was just a great guy for her, and who she thought God wanted her to be in a relationship with for life, to go through life with. So, and he was also studying to be a pastor. That is a plus in her own books. So she left work late that particular night, and she was walking back to her dorm room. Unfortunately, she was raped by an unknown person. Throughout this entire book, the person that raped her is unknown. He doesn't have a name, he doesn't even have a face, nothing at all. So she was taken to the hospital, and she was asked questions which she couldn't answer because she was in shock, and all those kind of things. So the doctor came in and told her that they will have to take a sample swab of whatever it was, medical checkups and all, just so they could get DNA of the rapist, if it could be of any help to the police to help catch him, I guess. So she was in so much shock that she couldn't even give that information. So when the doctor came in and told her that she should have estrogen therapy, which is what they give rape victims immediately when they are brought into the hospital to remove to prevent conception, that's pregnancy, so she wouldn't get pregnant and be burdened with the fact that she's pregnant with her rapist child, and all. But due to the fact that she was too shocked and, I guess, in disbelief of what had happened to her, she refused to take estrogen therapy. So the doctor was like, okay, fine, I guess you are in shock, but if you miss your period, come back, we'll do an evacuation for you. She couldn't believe what she was hearing, but she was like, she will not get pregnant because the doctor said it was the percentage of her getting pregnant was really, really slim. So she believed him, and she went home, or rather her boyfriend and her two friends, that's Ethan, Joe, and Janet, came to pick her up. But from the onset at the hospital, she noticed that Ethan was kind of withdrawn, and he kind of blamed her for what happened to her, as though it were her fault that she was raped. So this is where the curtain of chapter 1 closes, and chapter 2 comes in, and this chapter is mostly about her sorting out her feelings and getting used to the idea that, oh, she was raped. And I don't know any rape victim closely, but I know it is a very traumatic experience, and it must have been hard, and it is hard for people that have gone through that kind of thing. It's a violation of your own privacy, which you never thought would happen to you. It's something that many people in a million years don't think will ever happen to them, but it did, and she was trying to come to terms with that. And then the fact that her fiancé was behaving funny and insinuating that she caused the rape, blaming her that she wasn't pure anymore, she wasn't a virgin, she wasn't fit to be his wife, to become like a pastor's wife in the ministry, that she has been violated and all. So one night she was in her room and she felt weird. This is just about, like, let's say 4 to 5 weeks after the rape had happened, but she hadn't gone back to the hospital for extra checkups. So her friend, who is also her roommate, Janet, thought she might be pregnant. So she took a pregnancy test and it came back positive. So this was where the dilemma began. She is supposed to be engaged to someone who is going to become a pastor, and she cannot afford to be pregnant when it is not even his child. So because of that, Ethan asked for a breakup and she broke up with him. She was heartbroken, of course, but Joe, who is her other friend, was a solid support throughout the way. So her mom, who is concerned about her, moms, they call every day. She calls her, but she just never tells her mom that this happened to her, nor that she is pregnant. So in chapter 3, we see where her pro-life college, the college which she's attending is pro-life, expels her for being an unmarried pregnant student, which is an irony because they are pro-life, they are not pro-choice. They are not supposed to agree with abortion, but they did. They told her, if you are pregnant, you cannot be a student on campus. So she went to a pastor for counseling, but the pastor, because of the state's laws, that if you are not a trained psychiatrist, you cannot give counsel to other people on serious life issues. So he turned her away. She was at this point heartbroken and in a very big dilemma. So she tried to swallow some pills to kill herself, but she couldn't go through with it. And Joe came and saved the day, and all that. So her mom at home have been having premonitions about her daughter. And then she finds out that her daughter is at home. This is chapter 4. The girl, Dina, had already left school. She broke up with her boyfriend. She didn't want to have anything to do with the school any longer, so she packed up and she went back home. She told her mom everything that had happened, and her mom was heartbroken and cried because this kind of thing had happened to her before. The only difference is her mom wasn't raped, but she did get pregnant when she was in college, and she had an abortion, and it had been a kind of guilty way on her whole life. So she had an abortion when she was in college, and then she met her husband along the line later on. They got married. She told him, of course, he wasn't really comfortable with it, but because he loved her, he said no problem. So this time around, every time she tried to get pregnant, she would get pregnant, but she would have a miscarriage, and she had 2 miscarriages before she gave birth to Dina. So Dina was sort of her own atonement child, So her husband, Douglas, who is not around at this time, came back from a business trip, and she couldn't even bring herself to tell him that their own daughter was raped and that she is pregnant. So she calls her mom instead. Her mom, who is Evie, calls her for comfort but doesn't tell her anything that had happened. So in chapter 5, we see them trying to tell the dad what had happened. The dad sort of knew that they were hiding something from him, so he took his daughter out on a father-daughter date, and she told him, and he handled it poorly, very badly, and he tells her to get an abortion. She was in shock because this is her dad, who is a deacon in the church, and he's telling her to get an abortion. So the girl was very, very confused. Now, in chapter 6, there is a new character that comes in. His name is James, Jim for short, James White, and he's sorry about that, and he's a doctor. But funny story, he works in an abortion clinic. He is not really comfortable with his job, but he does it for the money because the money is good. So the dad, Douglas, had told his daughter to get an abortion. So Dina and her mom went to the abortion clinic and they met James there. A coincidence, James was her college friend, a friend from college. That's Hannah, her mom, Dina's mom. So they left without doing the abortion, and both sides, they were embarrassed to see each other because they never thought in a million years that this was what will ever bring them back together. The mother being that her own child is pregnant, and James being that he's an abortion doctor. So the parents try to convince her to get an abortion, but she doesn't agree. So Hannah invites her own mom, that's Dina's grandmother, Yayyyy, to come over to help the situation, because this was also opening up old wounds for the father and the mother, being that the mother had committed abortion before. So the dad was kind of blaming her that, okay, like mother, like daughter, that kind of thing. So she thought her mom would come and help the situation, but the mother doesn't agree. That is Dina's grandmother, Yayyyy. She tells Dina not to have an abortion. That is when she revealed that she too had an abortion, but for health reasons. Being that when she was pregnant, she had tuberculosis and she relapsed. So the doctor told her, you either keep this baby and die, or you abort and live. So she aborted the baby. But that has always weighed heavy on her mind, So this caused a very big argument. Douglas' dad was very furious, and Hannah was trying to calm the whole situation down, but it wasn't working. So Dina ran away. That's what she did. My girl ran away, packed up her bags and left. So her mom got Joe's number, called him to come and help find her. Joe found her working in a diner, a kind of small restaurant, and living in a motel. He tells her that of his own life experiences also, where he had also gotten a girl pregnant when she was 17, but the girl aborted the baby despite him being ready to take care of the child, and that it has always weighed heavy on his own mind and his life. That is why he stayed clear of females and did not have girlfriends and all those kind of things. So he begged Dina to return home, and in chapter 8 we see that Dina says, no, I'm not going back home. They are fighting over me and it's causing problems in the family and all those kind of things. So she wants to be by herself to review her situation and then know what to do from there. She promises to keep in touch with him. She promises, but she may not. I don't think she did. Meanwhile, back at home, things were getting worse between her parents. They were fighting constantly. They couldn't get hold of their daughter. The husband was blaming the wife for everything that happened, and things like that. And it does take a toll on the family. So a day came where she was at a filling station, Dina, and she started bleeding. So she went to James White's house. That is the abortion doctor. But she went to him for help, not that she wants to get an abortion, but she wants to keep her baby. So James saw this as a kind of opportunity to redeem himself from killing hundreds of babies, which he says has been weighing him down seriously. So he takes care of her, and his wife Cynthia also assists her. They become like a support system for her. So James calls Hannah, Dina's mom, and tells her that Dina is with them. So the mom was a bit relaxed, but things back home also weren't so good. They were always arguing, the father and the mother, they were always fighting, and all those kind of things. So Dina informs everybody that she's keeping her baby. She is not getting an abortion. So hearing this news, it caused a rift between her dad and her mom. So they went for counseling, or rather Hannah invites their pastor to come in to help them. But Douglas becomes very furious. He doesn't want help from anybody. As per men, they like help. So he says, no, I don't want to hear anything. Blah, 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 blah. He storms out of the house. But later on, when she convinces him, they go for just one trial, and it still didn't help. So in chapter 9, we see Yayyyy in her own home in another state. She has a prayer group consisting of about four or five ladies. And one thing that Yayyyy has been keeping a secret is she has a cancer diagnosis. She has breast cancer. And just because of all this that has been going on in her family, she hasn't been able to tell Hannah or Dina that she has breast cancer. So, being a support system to her prayer group, they rallied around her, they gave her advice. They are old ladies, they have been through all the thick and thin in life, and she told them about her granddaughter being raped also, and being pregnant. and they all advised her that, abortion is something that stays with you your entire life. It doesn't really go away. Despite you pushing it to the back corner of your mind, it doesn't go away. It's always there. So in chapter 10, Dina returns home from Jim White's house. She goes home because she has made her decision, and she is standing firm in her decision that she is not aborting the baby. So Dina, this now costs Joe. Joe likes Dina, but he doesn't want to pressure her or push her to her limits, if you get what I'm saying. So being that she promised to keep in touch and she hasn't really been doing that, he had concern for her in his mind. So he calls her and asks her out on a friendly date. So they go out, she dressed really nicely and all, and it's like, oh my god, this girl is so pretty, even despite the fact that she's pregnant and all. But he still keeps his feelings and his emotions in check, and he takes her out. They have a fun time, they talk, and then she tells him about her decision to give her baby up for adoption instead. So he was like, okay, that's a very, very good idea, instead of aborting the child. Now, when she gets back home, Evie, her grandmother, calls her and tells her that she has breast cancer. This is like double dose of devastating news to her. So Dina goes into labor when there's nobody at home. She calls Joe, but Joe is an hour away and he cannot come and get her. He's on his way, but he won't make it there in time. So luckily her mom comes back home on time, and they both go to the hospital where she gives birth to a baby girl. And also we should remember that, or I should mention that Hannah refuses to call Douglas out of spite. Like, okay, you weren't there, so you don't deserve to see your grandchild. Because despite all, in spite of everything, that baby is Douglas's grandchild. So now in the final chapter, Douglas comes to the hospital. He talks to Hannah after Hannah has given birth and all, and they both decide to let go of the past, because it doesn't seem relevant anymore. Their daughter has made a decision. She's an adult and she has decided to stick with that decision. So now Dina, who has already in her mind said she's giving her child up for adoption, but when she sees her daughter, she just couldn't give her up for adoption. So she makes the decision to keep her child. She calls her grandmother and tells her grandmother that she will keep her child. She is not giving up her daughter for adoption, and they will be in her house after she recovers from the birth, because she planned to live with her grandmother, being that she was sick. So she wanted as much time as possible with her. Now, Joe, during all this delivery and everything, he had been outside waiting in the waiting room with Dina's father. So he goes in to visit her, and she tells him her baby's name. She named her baby Deborah Annie, which is a very strong name. Deborah is known as a judge in the Bible. So she tells him that they will be moving to another state, and he was devastated. He asked, in his mind, he was asking God that, I thought that this was like a green light, a go ahead for me to ask her to become my wife and all, but now she's moving to another state. There and then he decided in his mind to also move to that state. And what he said was, there is no problem. He told her, I don't have a problem with it. I will be there for you. And that was like an epiphany moment for her. Her eyes, the scales came out of her eyes, and she noticed that this guy has been here, pretty thick and thin for her, and everything. And it just popped into her head. this is the man for me. He is supportive and he is God fearing. He has also been through things in life and understands my situation. And it just dawned on her, and she asked him to marry her in the hospital there and then. And he was so happy and pleased, and that was where the book closed out. It closed out on a good note, actually. But there are just some very important lessons to be drawn from this book. It gives you an insight into the complicated situation of abortion. You can never say what's right for a person or what's wrong. You can't say, oh, you must be pro-life. You can't say, oh, you must be pro-choice. But if what you believe in is being pro-life, it just shows you that you should not allow anybody to make your decisions for you. I hope none of us will ever find ourselves in this situation, but many people have, and they have found themselves in this difficult situation where it is really hard for them to make a choice, and then they depend on family members to make choices for them, which they regret at the end of the day. In their entire life, they can't cope with it. I've heard of stories where many people just become depressed because they don't know what to do, how to handle the situation and all. And it's a complicated situation, and I really think that anybody going through something like this should seek professional help. What we draw from this book is we should not be judgmental. More so as Christians, we need to be support systems to people who are going through stress and things in our midst. We are not supposed to condemn or judge them. That is not what the Bible says. Now, another thing I've noticed in our society is when people have problems, nowadays they don't want to turn to the church. And why is that? We have to ask ourselves these questions. This is just one book that really opened my eyes to some of the things that go on in our society, and we just turn a blind eye to, oh, she'll be okay. As Nigerians, many of us, they like to go see a psychiatrist for medical help. If you go to psychiatrist office, you don't mad, you are crazy, you are mad, like you have crazy in your head already. Everybody's lower your head and keep walking, but everybody goes through stress and things in life, and just once in a while they need people to talk to. And if people come to you for help, please listen to them. Even if you don't have anything to give them in words, just lending a listening ear can actually relieve some of the pressure off of them. So this is the end of this video. I don't want it to be too long. In the next subsequent video I will make, the next one, we're going to have a discussion on this review. I have some questions that are for study at the back of the book. I will study them, and I will bring the questions to you or pose them to you to see your responses, and we'll go from there. This is just one of the many books that are really wholesome, and I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you haven't bought the book, it's very interesting. Go get it and read it. This is just a surface talk. It's not even the whole deal. So you can go to any of your nearby bookstores and get them. They are not that expensive. You should everybody 2,000 naira is okay. So get for your kids. It's good for them to have an insight in life, and you can read it also for your own pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you have any suggestion or comments, please put it down in the comment box below. I really appreciate your support. Please watch this video, like and share with your friends. Bye till next time.